Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I am going to give you the top five for sale by owner objections and the objection handlers for them. When you master what I'm going to give you here today, you will be unstoppable in setting for sale by owner appointments, because the truth is, FISBOs are the hottest prospects you can talk to, and they only have a handful of objections. They're not like 20 or 50 that you have to figure out how to handle. They're just a few of them. So it's easy. And right here, you're going to learn how to overcome those objections and set more appointments. So I wrote these down, and they're not in the order that they're going to hear them, obviously. A FISBO, actually a for sale by owner, is likely to give you all five in on the same call if they don't hang up on you quickly. Sometimes they give you more than one in the same breath. They say, bring me a buyer, I'll pay you a commission. I don't want to list with an agent, I can sell it myself. These are some of the top five. So let's start with bring me a buyer and I'll pay you a commission. Now, the commission they offer to pay can be different. It could be 3%, it could be 2%. I'm just going to go with 3% for the purposes of this role play. Okay, I want to role play with myself, which is kind of fun sometimes, a little awkward, but that's what I have to do to get you to understand how to handle these. So bring me a buyer, I'll pay you 3%. Now, one thing that I'm going to say here is you should have at some point, I'm going to give you one handler for each of these objections. And you start there. You start with one. Ultimately, you want to have 3 handlers for every objection. They're really top 5. They're not a million objections. They're not even 10, 20. Sometimes they say different things, but they all fall into the category of, the same objection, even though they word it a little different. What I'm saying to you is, you got top 5 FISBO objections. I'm going to give you one handler. Ultimately, you want to have 3. So we're really talking about 15 handlers that you need to master, so you can start setting a lot of for sale by owner appointments, and then you can go on these appointments, do a great job, take well-priced listings, make a lot of money, and help these FISBOs also, because they need the help of a great agent like you. So bring me a buyer, I'll pay you a 3% commission. The first thing you do when you hear any objection, and you're going to hear me do this again and again, because I'm going to give you 5, so it's the same pattern, right? The first thing you do is you repeat and approve. You validate, you confirm what it is you're hearing. So in this case, this sounds like this. Oh, okay, so you're willing to cooperate with an agent and pay a commission if any agent would have a buyer, right? And so that's all I'm doing. I'm confirming what they said. I'm using different words, right? I said cooperate with an agent or pay a commission. You don't have to repeat exactly what they said, although you can, but you don't have to. And I say you can, but also you don't want to always repeat exactly what they say time and time and time again, because that's weird. People don't talk like that. And if you start acting weird, speaking weird, they start to feel weird, like, who is this? What's going on? This agent doesn't sound right. And then the call's over. So it's best if you paraphrase what they said. So you're willing to cooperate with an agent that may have a buyer for your home, is what I hear you saying, right? And they're going to say, yeah, that's right. Now it's still repeating, approving, and validating, just a little bit different. And Mr. Seller, use their name, first name if you know it. Mr. Seller, I really appreciate the offer. I mean, it's a very fair offer, and I'll definitely keep your home in mind. And I'm just curious, Mr. Seller, if I can show you a way where I can more than make up for that difference in commission that you're looking to save. Is that something that you might be interested in looking at? Now, one of two things they could say here. I mean, they could say a million different things, but I'm going to go with the two most common ones. They could say, sure. And then you ask for the appointment. Great. I'd like to come by and meet with you for 20 to 30 minutes and show you exactly how I can do that for you. Would you be available today around 3 o'clock? Would 4 be better for you? Okay, that's the close. Now, they may say, well, I'm not sure how you can do that. Or what do you mean? How can you do that? That's a great question, Mr. Seller, and that's exactly why I'd like to meet with you for 20 to 30 minutes, and I'll show you how I can do that for you. Would you be available for a 20-minute meeting around 3 o'clock today, or would 4 be better for you? That's it. Now, let me take you back for a moment, because when you said, when you say to them, I appreciate the offer. It's a very fair offer. I'll definitely keep your home in mind. And then I asked if I can show you a way. In between those two, you don't have to, but you could, and I'm going to say this to clarify it for you, but you could also say it to them. You could say, so Mr. Seller, what I hear you saying is, since you're willing to pay a 3% commission, what you're really looking to do is save the other portion of the commission that it would cost you to hire a listing agent to represent you, right? And they're going to say, yeah, that's right. So if I can show you a way, so you want to add that in there, you don't have to, but it might be a good idea. So at least you have clarity on what you're saying, and they're super clear. Although if you don't use it, I think it'll be clear as well. Okay, so that's bring me a buyer, I'll pay you a commission. The next one that I wrote down, very common, is I don't need an agent. I can sell it myself. Every FSBO, I tend to say that. Of course, they don't think they need an agent. So what am I going to do with this? I'm going to say, Mr. Seller, I completely understand what you're saying, and quite honestly, I agree with you. I have no doubt that you can sell this property on your own. This is so important. This is very different than what most agents are doing out there. Okay, first of all, most agents don't know how to handle this, but the ones that attempt to say something, they're gonna be disagreeable. They're gonna say something that's gonna make the seller feel like, well, what you're doing is not right, or this is why you shouldn't do it like that. That is the wrong path to take, because now, hear me out. The first step, and I said you're going to hear it over and over on every one of these objection handlers, is you got to repeat, approve, validate, make them feel like you heard, you understand them, they're right, yeah. Because the opposite of that is going to create an argument. Yeah, nobody likes to be wrong, and if you say something, or the way you say something makes them feel like you think they're wrong, this call is going to be over quickly. Okay, you're not going to win this one. They're going to hang up on you because everybody wants to be right. So you make them right. And I say all of this to you not because I'm faking that I think they're right. No, I actually get it, and I think they are right, because based on what they know and their experience and what they've heard about selling the home on their own and not needing an agent, they're right. They just don't know what they don't know. So I get where they're coming from, and you need to get where they're coming from too. So I don't need an agent. I can sell it myself. Same thing, right? And so I'm going to acknowledge that. I'm going to say, Mr. Seller, I completely understand. And I have no doubt in my mind that you can sell this property on your own. And let me just ask you this, Mr. Seller, and not but, because if you use but, you're yeah, I understand, but I don't. So and is the right transition word. And Mr. Seller, there are a lot there are a lot of different things you could say here. I'm going to give you one. And Mr. Seller, if there was a better way for you to get this home sold, where you would actually end up netting more money by working with an experienced professional agent like myself instead of selling it yourself, is that something you might be interested in looking at? Notice that it's the same pattern of question that I gave you for the Bring Me a Buyer. Actually, you're going to hear it throughout. It's the same pattern of question, even though what I say is a little bit different. And now it's the same as before. They may say, well, what do you mean? What's the better way? How could you possibly do that? That's a great question, Mr. Seller, and that's exactly why I'd like to meet with you for just 20 minutes so I can show you how I can do that for you. Would you be available for 20 minutes around 3 o'clock today? Would 4 be better? That's it. Or if they say yes, you just great. I look forward to meeting with you. Do you have 20 minutes around 3 o'clock today, or would 4 be better? You're going to start to notice a pattern because these objection handlers are the same. Now, the next one I wrote down is, I don't want to list with an agent. And Mr. Seller, I respect that, and quite honestly, I mean, I knew you don't want to list with an agent, because if you did, you wouldn't be selling it yourself, right? It's not difficult to find an agent if you wanted one. There are a dime a dozen out there. And the reason why I decided to give you a call today, Mr. Seller, is I actually work with a lot of buyers and sellers here in the area, and just wanted to see how things are working out for you. That's actually the opening line on the FSBO script. This I don't want to list with an agent tends to come up very, very early on the conversation. Sometimes it's the first thing they say. Hey, look, yeah, I'm getting a lot of calls from agents. I don't want to list the property, before you even say anything. So then you go with the opening line and just wanted to see how things are working out for you. And it doesn't matter what they say here. They could say, well, it's going great. It's going terrible. I'm getting a lot of activity. It doesn't matter. You're going to repeat and approve. Let's say they're getting a lot of calls and a lot of people looking at their house. So I'm going to say, and Mr. Seller, sounds like you're doing great right now. And let me just ask you this, Mr. Seller. And I know that I like to do this because this is like future pacing. Okay, future pacing is like anticipating what they're going to say and how they're thinking before they actually say it to you. You don't have to do it, but I really like it. So I would say something like this: Mr. Seller, let me just ask you this. And I know initially when you hear it, it's probably not going to make sense to you. The math is not going to add up. And at the same time, if I can show you a way where by working with me, you'd be able to actually walk away from the closing table with more money than if you sold it yourself, is that something that you'd be interested in looking at? Notice the pattern, same thing. And now it's like, well, I don't know how you could do that. That doesn't make any sense. Or they may say no, or they may say yes. What if they say, no, not right now? And no, not right now. I really want to give this some time. If you want to give me a call in a month, that's another very common FSBO objection. No, not right now. I just started. I want to see how this is going to go. You can call me in a month or two, whatever. Okay. So now what do you do with that? I completely understand, Mr. Seller, and I can definitely follow up with you. And here's what I'm thinking. And I know you're not looking to list this property right now, because obviously if you were, you would have done it already. You're not waiting for my call to list this home. And I understand it sounds like you're not in a hurry to sell and you just want to give this a chance and an opportunity to see if you could sell it yourself. And quite honestly, Mr. Seller, I have no doubt that you can sell it yourself. And what I'm thinking is, regardless of the time, whether we were to meet now, a few weeks from now, or a few months from now, is it fair to say that in this process of selling your home, selling it for the most money possible and keeping the most money possible is what's most important to you? They're going to say yes. Yes, of course, that's what it is. That's why I don't want to pay a commission. I completely understand. And here's what I'm thinking, Mr. Seller, and you're under no obligation, because I get it that you're not looking to use an agent right now. And I'm not looking for you to agree to meet with me so we can list the property. I mean, that would be an unreasonable expectation. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I do. What I'm proposing is this, Mr. Seller. I'd like to sit down with you for just 20 minutes and show you what the financial benefit would be for you to work with a professional, experienced agent like myself. And our meeting would only take 20 minutes. At the end of our meeting, you can decide what's best for yourself. So would you be available for 20 minutes around 3 o'clock today, or would 4 be better? Okay. That's another one. That was number 4, right? And the 5th one is, well, there's 2. I'm going to pick one. Okay. I have a friend in real estate. Another one that they may say is, I sold for sale by owner before. I don't know how common that is. I mean, you will hear that, not as much as you'll hear the others, but you will hear that. What you're going to do with that, and that's not one of the 5. Okay. That was the extra one here. What you're going to do with that is you're going to repeat and approve. Mr. Seller, I completely understand. I have no doubt that you could sell it again. Obviously, you know what you're doing. You have the experience. And let me ask you this. And then it's going to be, if I can show you a way where working with me would actually end up netting you more money than if you sold it yourself, especially in today's market. That's the key thing right there. Okay. When they sold on their own before, especially in today's market. And it's how I'm saying it too. Okay. Because if you don't, the tonality, the body language, and what you sound like is going to be the difference between whether you're going to set appointments or not, saying the exact same thing. So if they sold on there before, that's the direction you go. So the number 5 here, I gave you a bonus one. I already have an agent. I'm not looking to list right now, but if I end up needing an agent, I already have someone in mind, or I have a friend in real estate. You deal with this exactly the same, or my mother is a real estate agent. It doesn't matter who the agent is, if it's whatever, a referral, a friend, or a relative. Okay. So what you're going to do with this now, this one is a little bit different, very little, than the other ones. What you want to do with this, and this is very important, when you're repeating and approving this objection, you want to make sure that you say to them, Mr. Seller, I respect what you're saying. Obviously, you already have an agent in mind. It's a friend, or it's a relative, or it's someone you worked with in the past, or somebody that was referred to you, or it's the neighborhood specialist. Doesn't matter who it is, you're going to say that. And now here's the different part that's very important. You say something like this. And Mr. Seller, obviously, I don't know who that agent is, and I'm sure that he or she is a good agent, because, I mean, you wouldn't just list with anyone. Obviously, this is an important financial decision here for you. So I'm sure he or she is a good agent. Let me pause here for a moment. Critically important. Because if you don't say this, and you just go to the if type of question, which I'm going to give you like right now, if you don't say what I just said, it's likely that you ask the question that's going to lead you to the close, they're going to defend the agent. They're going to say, no, but I don't need it. I know this agent. They're really good. They did. They're gonna defend their choice of using this agent. But when you say, well, I'm sure they're good, you're removing that. They don't have to say that. You said it, and they're gonna agree. Okay. So that eliminates that objection, which is very likely that you will hear if you skip this piece of dialogue here. So now we go to, after, I'm sure here she's a good agent, otherwise you wouldn't list with them. And Mr. Seller, let me ask you this. If there was a significant advantage for you to work with someone other than that agent, is that something that you might consider? Now, I want you to hear what I just said and realize how hard it is for somebody to say no to that. It's like, how would somebody say no to that? I'm not saying, would you list with me instead? No, I'm just saying, if there was a significant advantage, that's something that you might consider. They're likely to say, they could ask, well, what do you mean by an advantage? Well, that's exactly why I'd like to meet with you for just 20 minutes so I can show you exactly what that would be for you. Are you available today at 3 o'clock? Would 4 be better? Or they may say, well, maybe. Great. So I'd like to set up a time to meet with you for just 20 minutes and show you exactly how I could be of a great advantage to even the sale of this home. Are you available today at 3 o'clock? Would 4 be better? There you go. You got the top 5 when you master this, believe me. And you see the pattern. It's not that complicated. It's just you listen intently so you could repeat and approve and validate appropriately. Then you ask a question. Don't use the word but. You ask a question that's going to catch their attention, spark curiosity, create some doubt, and then you close. It's super simple. I thank you again for joining me today. I trust that you got a lot out of this training, and I look forward to hearing about all the FSBO appointments you're going to set using this stuff. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.